Welcome back. So today we are going to make a loaf of Stollen. It's just a traditional German bread dish, so we're going to get to it. To start the Stollen, what we're going to do is we're going to make the marzipan. To make the marzipan, what we're going to do is first we got to make almond flour basically. So what we're going to do is we are going to blanch the almonds. So basically to blanch almonds, all you have to do is boil water, and then once the water is up to boiling, throw the almonds in there for about a minute, and then once they're basically blanched, pinch the skin and the almond comes right out and the skin comes off. So we're just going to go ahead and pinch all the skins off of these.
3 hours later.
We got all the shells off the almonds. I put them in a towel to dry them off because they were pretty wet. So now what we're going to do is going to throw all the almonds into the grinder basically, or blender, whatever you want to call it. Then we are going to grind this up. So then once you get it to a very fine powder, well, it's not quite a powder, but hopefully when we add the powdered sugar it'll become more powdery. Now we're going to add a 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. Then we're going to chop that up. So then we're going to take it out and we're going to dump it in the bowl, and then we're going to put it back in there. So basically all the chopped chunks are still down at the bottom while everything on top is a fine dust. So we're just going to have to process through this a few times. Alright, so now that we got that all blended up together, we are going to go ahead and add our 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then going to add 1 egg white. And then we're going to go ahead and food process that again until it creates like a lumpy ball. So the food processor went out, so basically all I'm going to do is just mix it by hand instead. There we go, we have the marzipan. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it into a cylinder shape, and then wrap it in plastic wrap and store that in the refrigerator overnight. Basically it'll harden and we can use it tomorrow for the Stollen. Now we're going to start the actual dough of the Stollen. To start off with, what I've done here is I've taken about a 1.5 cups of cranberries and a cup of almonds and put them in lemon juice and orange juice. So basically I just took a fresh orange and a fresh lemon and squeezed the juice into the bowl and then just dumped everything and tossed it around. Do this first, that way it sits out in the almonds and the cranberries, soak up the juice and become more flavorful. And also make sure to use the peel for the zest. We'll get to that later. And then once you get that going, you can go ahead and start with the yeast. So to start with the yeast, what we have here is 3 tablespoons of yeast. I'm just going to leave that here on the plate. We're going to add 2 tablespoons, sorry, that was 3 teaspoons of yeast. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then we're going to mix it up on the plate. So we get that good and mixed up. We are going to then add it to our lukewarm milk. So you want the milk between 105 and 110 degrees. Right now it's 119. I'm going to pour it in this bowl and get it to cool off faster. I'm going to go ahead and add the yeast and sugar. And then we're just going to stir that a little bit, just enough to get it all a little bit mixed up. And then we're going to let that sit until it starts to bubble and form kind of like, it looks like dough but not quite. It'll just be very airy. So we're going to let that sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. To start the dough, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add all these ingredients into here and mix it all up. So we'll start with butter that's at room temperature, so basically it's soft. There's about 3/4 cup of butter. And then, so for the sugar, what we started with was we started with a 1/2 cup of sugar. We took 2 tablespoons of that and added it to the yeast mixture. This is just the remaining sugar out of that bunch. I'm going to add that. This is the grated lemon zest. So this was the lemon that I used for the juice of the fruit and nuts. And then same for the orange, just grated the skin of both of these. So I'm just going to add both of these zests into here. And then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons or teaspoons of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of nutmeg, and about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then we're going to add 2 egg yolks and a whole egg. Next we're going to add the flour. So we're just going to add the flour a little bit at a time. Basically keep adding the flour until we have a nice formed ball. So typically this is about 4 cups, but we'll just add a little bit and then see where it ends up. Okay, so now that we got that mixed up a little bit, we're going to go ahead and add our yeast mixture. As you can see here, it is pretty frothy on top, which means the yeast has activated. So we're just going to go ahead and add that in here and then get that all mixed up. So it did form a ball, as you can see. It broke away from the sides, and basically it's one nice ball. So basically all we need to do now is knead it. You can knead it by hand, however, that will take a good amount of time. And if you do want to knead it by hand, basically you just put it on a floured surface, pull it out, push it in, and then keep doing that until it forms a cylinder cone, and then rotate it, and then do the same thing over and over. Or you can just use the mixer like I'm going to, and then have it do the kneading for you. So I'm just going to put this back on there. Basically you want to knead it until the dough itself is kind of springy. So if you poke it gently with your finger, it kind of bounces back, and then if you stretch it, it doesn't fall apart instantly. It stretches for a little while before it does start tearing. Okay, so the dough itself is done. Take it out. As you can see here, formed a nice shiny surface, and if you poke it, it kind of springs back to life a little bit there. I don't know if you can see that. And then if you stretch it, it stretches pretty good before breaking. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and tuck it all in into the back there, and then we're going to put it in a grease pan. And then we're going to cover this with saran wrap, very loosely so it has room to rise. And then we are going to put this in the toaster oven. The reason I'm putting it in the toaster oven is because it's winter here, it's cold. Odds are if you're making Stollen, it's probably winter too. So it's best for yeast to have a temperature between 80 and 90 degrees to continue rising in the bread. So artificially simulating that with the toaster oven, so bringing the heat up and then letting it cool down until it hits about 80 to 90 degrees, and I plop this in there, close the lid, and then try to keep it insulated at around 80 to 90 degrees, at least warmer than around the house. So when you go ahead and get this in the toaster oven, we want this to rise until it's doubled in size. So that can take anywhere between 45 to an hour. Now that our dough is risen, what we're going to do is we are going to punch the air out. So just give it a few punches, and that should let some of the air out. Then we're going to take it and dump it back into our mixer. And then we're going to go ahead and add our cranberry and almond mixture into here. And then we're going to go ahead and mix that up until everything is nice and mixed together. Basically until all the cranberries and almonds are incorporated in. Now if you have a little bit of extra juice, like I do, you will want to add some flour until it basically turns back into that ball that you had before. So I'm going to go get some flour and add it to it. So I did not have to add too much flour there to get it all mixed up. Now that I got the nuts and the cranberries all mixed into the dough itself, we're going to throw it on this cutting board that's been floured already for. And then we're going to spread this out so that it's about 1 inch thick. Once you get it about 1 inch thick, we're then going to take the marzipan that we made from before. This was sitting in the fridge overnight, so it has hardened up quite a bit. As you can see, it's not as soft as it was before. You're just going to go ahead and place that into the center, kind of working it in there a little bit. And then we're going to fold one side over. And then we're going to fold the other side over. Then what we're going to do is basically it. So now we're going to let it rise again. This time about 30-45 minutes until it's risen and puffy slightly. And then we're going to bake it. Alright, so our dough has risen quite a bit, as you can see. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop it in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes or until golden at 350 degrees. Alright, so there we have it. We got our nice giant loaf of Stollen. So we're going to go ahead and give this a try. Get a nice middle piece here. So full disclosure, this did take longer than 30 to 40 minutes. Quite a bit longer actually, it almost took an hour. Basically what I did to determine whether it was done or not was I actually checked the temperature of the bread itself. If the bread reaches about 190 degrees Fahrenheit, that's how you know the bread is done. So take this milk cross section out here, and it doesn't look too bad. You can see the marzipan there, and then there's the rest of the bread. So to get a piece with the marzipan, obviously. So go ahead and try it. It is delicious. First bite was mostly marzipan, so let's try the bread itself. It was really good. So it's pretty light. You do get the cranberries and the citrusy flavors, the lemons and the orange coming through. However, do not get the almonds. Probably going to add in more chopped almonds, but oh well, you know, for next time. Other than that, it is delicious. I will probably eat this entire thing myself. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. If you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified next time we make another video. If you have an idea for a video, please leave a comment down below. Until next time, see you later.